Thank you very much. I think that on conflict resolution, I think may be very valuable as we go into the continent, no doubt. All right, thank you so much for that. Now, see, that clock is telling me that I'm almost out of time for this segment, and I still need to go to the audience to this. But Ken, so you're going to help me here. If you can make it brief, you are dealing with gas value chain. I want you to speak to your experience, and as we begin to talk about the Inter-Africa Trade Fair and, of course, the African Common Free Trade Area, what's your perspective on this whole concept of going into Africa and the challenges that you face as a provider of this?
Thank you very much. If we have to talk about that, we will take a whole day. So I'll just leave you with one word, and that word is in the upstream sector that we operate in. And now we're all very grateful that the Dangote industry has come to rescue us in the downstream side by providing refined products. But what people don't understand, Dangote will be getting is crude oil that is essentially produced by foreign capacity, and that's where we play. So while we are trying to domesticate our refining capacity and ensure that all of that is done in Nigeria, we should also understand, as mature as the upstream activities been, ability for indigenous company or African capacity to do it is very limited. So we are operating offshore production facilities. So that's what you call FPSOs. So I tell a beautiful story, and it's all about one word: trust. In spite of what we've done and helped companies that have no capacity to produce their oil, we do not have the trust because we are Africans. So if I go across to Ghana and I offer to do that service for half the price of a European company, the Ghanaian company will not give me a chance.
What if you increase the price?
If I increase the price, it's still because the concept is that this is a Nigerian company, this is an African company. So in 2016, we have an order to produce a field and time, schedule, and all that. So we approached a Norwegian company, and pricing was right, proof of fund was there, and they said something to us. They would take us through a training before they would make the deal with us. What is the training about? Anti-corruption training. And I said to the guys, if that is the training we're going to do before we buy this, we're not going to buy it. So we stopped, and guess what? 2 years after, we still went to buy companies. But this time, European and Asian companies were going into bankruptcy just before the coronavirus, because oil prices were down, and we actually bought them for a lot lower. And the clients that would not ordinarily talk to us, they're talking to us because we bought companies that they were dealing with that couldn't cope with the coronavirus crisis. So one word: if we ride on the entire IFTA, African companies will gain that desire corporate trust, because Afrexim, for instance, we've been working very closely with them, and because of Afrexim, you're able to get global capital, and because of Afrexim, a lot of countries will respect it. So it's a huge advantage that, and I'm so grateful that Afrexim is making this happen. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much for sharing that experience. Food for thought there. Chioma, I decided to come to you last because I think you have, at least in my mind, one of the most interesting insights in this conversation. So you're talking about the creative industry. And I know very often the question you will get is that, what do you want policymakers to do, blah, blah, blah. But just give us some insight into what you're seeing in terms of the landscape and how you think that an ecosystem can be built to navigate that landscape as we try to build a market, an African market.
Okay. Thank you, Canada, for having us here. And thank you to all the organizers. The African creative industry is by far the most important industry. I noticed you called everybody a heavy hitter and us, we left for the last.
No, but you're coming, I have no doubt.
Exactly. I'll tell you why we are the heaviest on the panel, exactly. So, according to Jobberman, by the year 2025, we can have 2.7 million jobs. And this was based on the indices they had at the time. So the changes have been enormous, and it continues every day. I run the Africa International Film Festival, so I'm really that convener of the creative industry. It might be like, okay, she runs film, but in film we have music, in film we have fashion, in film we have ICT. The biggest market right now is actually the gaming market. Gaming market is huge, and it's new in Nigeria. For us in the industry, it's been a very organic growth for everybody, especially in Nigeria. Everybody has used their money, their family's money, to grow the industry to where it is right now. The heavy hitters are just coming on board right now to help us take us to, I don't know where, because we're actually out in the world. The music industry is by far showcasing the culture of Africa and making us look very good. Today, everybody globally dances to Afrobeat. Everybody wants to see the Nollywood films. And as I was having a discussion with the South African ambassador, the Amamposa music, I hope I'm saying it right, is gathering a lot of momentum. Now, in the industry, we need infrastructure. I was having a conversation with one of the huge platforms in LA sometime this year, and they're coming in.
So when you say platform, you mean streaming platforms?
Streaming platforms. Okay. So we all know we have Netflix in here, but the Amazon Prime Video is coming, and they're all coming next month to Nigeria. They'll be showcasing at the Africa International Film Festival. They're coming in with 6 of their top executives, and that's because they see the market and they see the potential we have to offer. So in having a discussion with one of them, we're trying to benchmark how much these films will cost as far as they're concerned in either acquiring it, licensing it, or creating originals. And the first thing they said was, Africa is such a great market because you have stars, but you have stars in Nigeria. So basically, the Nigerian market has sold itself to the rest of the world. I mean, you could recognize certain artists when you go to maybe another country, or maybe some of them when they go to America even are recognized. And so the value chain for them is not particularly expensive right now, because if you go to a basic American and say, oh, do you know who Omotala is? They would say no, right? And so